Discipline hurts. Let's stop pretending it doesn't. It hurts to wake up early when your body is heavy. It hurts to train when every voice inside you is begging for comfort. It hurts to say no to distractions when everyone else is choosing easy. Discipline demands something most people are terrified to give: consistency without applause. But here's the truth no one wants to face. Weakness hurts more, and it hurts longer. Weakness hurts when years pass and nothing changes. It hurts when you avoid challenges because you don't trust yourself to endure them. It hurts when you know deep down you could have been more, but you chose comfort instead. That pain doesn't come once. It comes every day quietly, like a weight on your chest. Discipline is sharp pain now. Weakness is slow pain forever. One builds you, the other erodes you. Discipline forges respect, self-respect. Weakness steals it. Discipline creates options. Weakness traps you in excuses. Discipline teaches your mind to obey. Weakness lets your emotions rule your life. You don't become strong when things are easy. You become strong when you repeatedly choose what is hard, especially when no one is watching. The pain you avoid today becomes the prison you live in tomorrow. So the question isn't whether you will suffer. You will. The real question is this: will your pain shape you into someone powerful, or slowly break you into someone you no longer recognize? Discipline is pain you can feel, name, and measure. It shows up at a specific hour, in a specific action, demanding a specific sacrifice. It is the alarm clock cutting through sleep. It is the burn in your lungs when your body wants to slow down. It is the discomfort of choosing effort when ease is available. Discipline announces itself clearly, and because it is clear, most people fear it. They see the immediate cost and overestimate its weight. They believe that because discipline hurts now, it must be the worst kind of pain. What they fail to see is that discipline has an expiration date. It ends, the workout finishes, the hard conversation passes. The difficult habit becomes familiar. The pain fades, but what it builds remains. Weakness works differently. It doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't demand effort. It feels gentle at first, almost kind. It whispers that tomorrow will be better, that rest is deserved, that skipping once doesn't matter. Weakness avoids sharp pain, but replaces it with something far more dangerous: slow decay. The pain of weakness stretches across time. It grows quietly, feeding on avoidance and excuses. It shows up months later as lost confidence, years later as regret, and decades later as the unbearable weight of unrealized potential. Unlike discipline, weakness never finishes its work. It stays. Temporary pain sharpens you. Permanent pain dulls you. Discipline cuts away what is unnecessary, what is soft, what is false. Weakness lets everything remain, including fear, doubt, and complacency. Discipline forces you to confront resistance head on, teaching you that discomfort is survivable. Weakness teaches you to run, reinforcing the belief that you are fragile. Over time, this belief becomes an identity. You don't just avoid hard things, you begin to see yourself as someone who cannot endure them. The human mind adapts to what it repeatedly experiences. When you choose discipline, even imperfectly, you train your nervous system to tolerate stress. You expand your capacity. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, then it becomes normal. Weakness shrinks that same capacity. Each avoided challenge lowers your threshold. Things that were once easy begin to feel heavy. Life doesn't become harder, you become less prepared for it. Discipline concentrates pain into moments so that strength can spread across a lifetime. Weakness spreads pain across a lifetime to avoid a few uncomfortable moments. One is an investment, the other is a debt, and like all debt, weakness compounds. Missed opportunities stack. Self-doubt deepens. The gap between who you are and who you could have been widens until it becomes painful just to acknowledge. People often confuse happiness with comfort. Discipline doesn't promise comfort, it promises alignment. When your actions match your values, there is a quiet stability that forms inside you. You trust yourself. You know that when things get hard, you will not disappear. Weakness offers comfort without alignment. It soothes you in the moment while slowly eroding your self-respect. And when self-respect goes, no amount of comfort can replace it. The irony is that discipline, once established, begins to hurt less. It becomes structure, it becomes rhythm. Weakness, on the other hand, hurts more with time. The longer you avoid discipline, the heavier it feels to begin. The body stiffens, the mind resists, the story you tell yourself hardens into belief. What could have been temporary pain becomes permanent avoidance. Life will demand pain regardless of your choices. It will test you through loss, pressure, responsibility, and uncertainty. Discipline prepares you for these moments by strengthening your tolerance for discomfort ahead of time. Weakness leaves you exposed. When unavoidable pain arrives, it feels catastrophic because you have trained yourself to escape rather than endure. Temporary pain gives you leverage over your future. Permanent pain steals it. Discipline gives you options, the option to push, to endure, to adapt. Weakness narrows your world until the safest choice becomes the only choice. And safety, when it is rooted in avoidance, is just another form of confinement. The real cost of discipline is paid up front. The real cost of weakness is hidden, delayed, and far greater. One demands courage now. The other demands surrender forever. Your mind is designed to protect you, not to make you powerful. Its first instinct is always to conserve energy, avoid discomfort, and seek familiarity. The moment resistance appears, the mind speaks up. It says you're tired. It says you've done enough. It says this can wait until tomorrow. This voice feels authoritative because it sounds like you, but it is not wisdom. It is conditioning, and if you obey it repeatedly, it becomes your master. The body is capable of far more than the mind allows. Long before muscles fail or lungs give out, the mind raises a white flag. This early quitting is not weakness of flesh. It is lack of training of the mind. Discipline is the process through which you teach your mind a new role. Instead of asking permission from your feelings, you act first and let feelings follow. Each time you do what you said you would do despite resistance, you send a signal to your brain that discomfort is not a threat. Over time, the alarm quiets. Weakness trains the opposite response. Every time you quit early, every time you delay because you don't feel ready, the mind learns that discomfort works as an escape signal. The brain rewards avoidance with relief. That relief feels good, but it is short-lived. What remains is a reinforced habit of quitting. The mind becomes louder, more convincing, more controlling. What once felt like a suggestion turns into a command. Discipline does not silence the mind. It reorders it. The thoughts still appear, but they lose authority. You begin to see them as noise rather than truth. This is where real freedom starts. You are no longer dragged around by every emotion, every fluctuation in mood, every temporary lack of motivation. You act based on commitment, not comfort. That shift alone separates those who build resilience from those who stay trapped in cycles of starting and stopping. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act. Discipline reverses that relationship. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you move despite resistance, the brain adapts to support the behavior. Neural pathways strengthen. What once required effort begins to feel automatic. This is not because it became easy, but because you became reliable. The mind trusts patterns more than promises. Discipline is how you build those patterns. Weakness keeps the mind reactive. It lives at the mercy of circumstances. Good day, you perform. Bad day, you disappear. This creates inconsistency, and inconsistency destroys confidence. You never know which version of yourself will show up. Discipline creates identity stability. You know who you are regardless of mood. That certainty becomes a form of mental armor. When pressure increases, you don't panic because you've trained yourself to function under discomfort. The mind respects proof. Every disciplined action is proof that you can endure more than you think. That proof accumulates. It changes the internal dialogue. Instead of "I can't," the mind begins to say, "I've done harder." This is not positive thinking. It is earned belief. Weakness offers no proof, only excuses, and excuses never build confidence. They only protect ego in the short term while weakening character in the long term. Discipline also teaches you delay. The ability to postpone relief is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. When you train yourself to sit in discomfort without escaping, you expand your emotional range. Stress becomes information, not a threat. Pressure becomes familiar, not overwhelming. Weakness narrows that range. Small stressors feel huge. Minor setbacks feel personal. The mind becomes fragile because it has never been trained to stay present in discomfort. There is a quiet power that comes from knowing your mind will obey you. Not instantly, not perfectly, but eventually. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop debating whether you feel like it. You decide and then you act. That simplicity removes a massive cognitive burden. Life becomes clearer. Decisions become cleaner. Energy once wasted on internal conflict is redirected into execution. Weakness keeps you stuck in negotiation. Every task becomes a debate. Every challenge becomes a question mark. This drains mental energy before you even begin. Over time, you associate effort with exhaustion, not because effort is exhausting, but because the constant mental resistance is. Discipline removes that resistance through repetition. The mind learns that resistance is irrelevant. Training the mind to obey is not about cruelty or punishment. It is about leadership. If you don't lead your mind, it will lead you toward comfort, familiarity, and stagnation. Discipline establishes you as the authority. Thoughts may speak, emotions may surge, but they no longer decide. You do. Comfort feels harmless because it doesn't demand anything from you. It asks no questions, sets no standards, and never challenges your identity. It welcomes you exactly as you are and promises relief without effort. That is why it is so dangerous. Comfort does not attack your goals directly, it slowly replaces them. One easy choice at a time, it teaches you to trade growth for familiarity. Nothing breaks in a single moment. Everything just slowly stops expanding. The mind associates comfort with safety. Evolution wired us to preserve energy and avoid unnecessary strain. In a modern world where discomfort is optional, this wiring works against you. When comfort becomes the default, your tolerance for difficulty shrinks. Tasks that once felt manageable begin to feel heavy. Challenges start to feel personal. You don't lose capability all at once, you lose readiness. And when readiness is gone, opportunity feels like threat instead of possibility. Growth requires friction. Muscles grow by resisting load. Skills grow by confronting failure. Character grows by choosing what is uncomfortable and staying present in it. Comfort removes that friction. Without resistance, there is no signal for adaptation. The body softens, the mind dulls. Ambition fades not because you failed, but because you stopped challenging it. Comfort doesn't make you weak overnight. It makes you untested, and being untested in a demanding world is a liability. Discipline interrupts comfort before it calcifies into lifestyle. It forces you into controlled discomfort so that you remain adaptable. This is not about punishment, it is about exposure. When you regularly expose yourself to difficulty by choice, difficulty loses its power over you. You stop seeing discomfort as something to avoid and start seeing it as something to move through. Comfort, when left unchecked, teaches avoidance. Discipline teaches engagement. Comfort also distorts time perception. When life is easy, days blur together. Weeks pass without markers. You feel busy but not built. Discipline creates landmarks. You remember the hard sessions, the early mornings, the moments you wanted to quit but didn't. These experiences anchor your sense of progress. Without them, time feels empty. Years can pass, and when you look back, there is little evidence that you were actively shaping your life. There is also a cost to comfort that shows up in self-rust. Each time you choose ease over effort, you send a message to yourself that your long-term goals are negotiable. That message accumulates. Eventually, you stop expecting much from yourself. This lowers your internal standards. Once standards drop, behavior follows. Discipline raises standards by requiring you to act in alignment with your stated values even when it is inconvenient. Comfort isolates you from reality. It keeps you in controlled environments where variables are predictable. Real life is not predictable. It is chaotic, demanding, and often unfair. If you have trained only in comfort, real-world stress feels overwhelming. Discipline prepares you by simulating stress in manageable doses. You practice staying composed when things are hard, so that when they are hard unexpectedly, you are not shocked by the experience. The silent danger of comfort is that it feels earned. After effort, rest is necessary, but when rest becomes routine avoidance rather than recovery, it turns into stagnation. Discipline teaches the difference. Rest is intentional and temporary. Comfort, unchecked, becomes habitual and permanent. One restores you, the other slowly removes your edge. Comfort also feeds comparison. When effort is avoided, progress slows. When progress slows, insecurity grows. You begin to look outward for validation instead of inward for proof. Discipline reduces the need for comparison because you are too focused on execution. You measure yourself against your own standards, not someone else's highlights. A comfortable life can still feel empty. This confuses people. They have convenience, entertainment, and minimal struggle, yet something feels missing. What is missing is the feeling of being forged. Humans need to overcome something to feel whole. Discipline provides that. It gives you a sense of earned existence. Comfort offers pleasure without meaning, and pleasure without meaning quickly turns hollow. Discipline doesn't remove comfort forever. It puts comfort in its proper place. Comfort becomes recovery, not identity. Enjoyment becomes a byproduct, not a priority. When comfort is controlled, it stops killing growth and starts supporting it. But when comfort leads, growth dies quietly, without drama, without warning, until one day you realize you have been standing still for a very long time. Self-respect is not something you think your way into. It is something you build through evidence. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes a brick. Every promise you break quietly removes one. Over time, a structure forms. Some people live inside a solid foundation of trust with themselves. Others live in a fragile shell held together by excuses. The difference is not talent or luck. It is the accumulation of hard choices made consistently. Discipline is the mechanism through which self-respect is earned. When you do what you said you would do despite resistance, discomfort, or fear, you prove to yourself that your word has weight. That proof changes how you carry yourself. You don't need external validation as much because you know internally that you are reliable. Weakness undermines this process. Each time you choose ease over integrity, the mind remembers. Even if no one else sees it, you do. People often chase confidence without understanding its source. Confidence is not loudness or dominance. It is quiet certainty. It comes from knowing that when things get hard, you will not abandon yourself. Discipline builds that certainty. Weakness erodes it. Over time, broken self-promises create internal doubt. You hesitate, you second, guess, not because you are incapable, but because your past behavior has taught you that your intentions cannot be trusted. Hard choices clarify identity. When you choose discipline, you align your actions with your values. That alignment reduces internal conflict. You are not torn between who you want to be and how you behave. Weakness creates fragmentation. You say one thing and do another. This split drains mental energy and creates subtle shame. Discipline closes that gap. When behavior matches belief, the mind settles. Self-respect also affects how you respond to adversity. When you trust yourself, challenges feel navigable. You don't panic at resistance because you have proof that you can endure discomfort. When self-respect is low, even small obstacles feel threatening. You doubt your capacity to handle them. Discipline changes this by steadily expanding your tolerance. You don't need to feel fearless. You need to feel dependable. Weakness often disguises itself as self-compassion. It tells you that pushing yourself is unhealthy, that discipline is too harsh. Real self-respect, however, is not indulgence. It is honesty. It is acknowledging your potential and refusing to betray it. Discipline is not self-hatred. It is self-loyalty. You endure discomfort not because you dislike yourself, but because you respect yourself enough to demand more. The way you treat small commitments sets the tone for larger ones. Skipping minor responsibilities trains your mind to devour your word. Discipline in small things builds a reputation with yourself that scales. If you can trust yourself with daily habits, you can trust yourself with major decisions. Weakness in small things spreads. It teaches you that standards are flexible when inconvenient. Self-respect also shapes your boundaries. When you value yourself, you are less likely to tolerate environments, habits, or relationships that undermine your growth. Discipline strengthens this clarity. You become selective with your time and energy because you know what it costs to rebuild lost momentum. Weakness blurs boundaries. You allow distractions and influences to pull you off course because you lack the internal authority to say no. There is also a physical component to self-respect. Posture, eye contact, and presence change when you know you are living in alignment. Discipline affects how you move through the world. You are not performing confidence, you are expressing it. Weakness creates incongruence. You may try to appear confident, but internally you know the foundation is unstable. Over time, discipline replaces self-criticism with self-accountability. Instead of attacking yourself for failures, you correct behavior. This is healthier and more productive. Weakness keeps you in cycles of guilt without change. Discipline accepts discomfort as part of growth and moves forward. Self-respect is quiet but powerful. It does not announce itself, but it is felt in every decision you make. Discipline builds it steadily. Weakness dissolves it slowly, and once self-respect is gone, no achievement or praise can fully replace it. Suffering is not a flaw in life, it is a feature of it. No matter how carefully you plan, discomfort will find you. Pressure, loss, uncertainty, effort, and failure are unavoidable. The difference between people who grow and people who break is not the presence of suffering, but the way they engage with it. Some choose their suffering deliberately. Others wait for it to be imposed. The outcomes could not be more different. Discipline is intentional suffering. You step into discomfort on your own terms, in controlled doses, with a clear purpose. You wake early, train hard, say no, stay consistent, and push through resistance. This type of suffering strengthens you because it is paired with choice. You are not a victim of it, you are using it. Weakness avoids this kind of pain, but avoidance does not eliminate suffering. It only delays it and makes it unpredictable. When you avoid discipline, life assigns you a different kind of suffering. It shows up as regret, anxiety, lack of confidence, and missed opportunity. This suffering feels heavier because it comes without agency. You didn't choose it, and you can't easily escape it. It lingers. It becomes background noise. Over time, it shapes your identity in ways you never consciously agreed to. Choosing your suffering gives you leverage. When you willingly face discomfort, you expand your capacity to handle stress. Hard things stop feeling catastrophic. You develop perspective. You know that pain passes and that effort produces results. When suffering arrives unexpectedly, you recognize it. You have been here before. Weakness denies you this preparation. When pressure hits, it feels overwhelming because you have trained yourself to avoid, not endure. Intentional suffering also builds momentum. Each hard choice reinforces the next. You develop a rhythm of action that carries you forward even when motivation fades. Weakness breaks momentum repeatedly. Starting over becomes exhausting. You spend more energy resisting effort than the effort itself would have required. There is also meaning in chosen suffering. When you endure discomfort for a reason, the pain is contextualized, it has direction, you understand what it is building toward. Unchosen suffering feels pointless. It breeds resentment. Discipline transforms pain into progress. Weakness turns pain into bitterness. Choosing your suffering sharpens decision making. You stop asking what feels good now and start asking what serves you later. This long-term orientation changes everything. Habits align, priorities simplify, you become less reactive and more deliberate. Weakness keeps you trapped in short-term thinking, chasing relief instead of results. People who choose their suffering develop a calm intensity. They are not frantic, they are grounded. They know life is hard and they have trained for it. This steadiness is rare and noticeable. Weakness creates volatility. Emotions swing with circumstances because there is no internal anchor. There is dignity in choosing hardship. It signals ownership of your life. You are no longer waiting for conditions to be perfect. You move anyway. That ownership builds pride, not arrogance, but quiet confidence. Weakness keeps you passive. You react to life instead of shaping it. Everyone pays a price. Discipline asks you to pay upfront in effort, discomfort, and consistency. Weakness asks you to pay later in regret, limitation, and self-doubt. The price of weakness is higher because it compounds silently over time. When you choose your suffering, you turn pain into a tool. When you avoid it, pain becomes a punishment. The difference is not strength or talent. It is the decision to face discomfort before it forces itself upon you.